I want you to imagine two versions of yourself. The first is the version you are right now, today, in this moment. The second is the version of you 5 years from now, if nothing changes. Same habits, same patterns, same excuses, same reasons why not. Are those two people the same? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, good. Stay with me. Welcome to the Better Life Project. Conversations for growth, purpose, and everyday life. I'm glad you're here. In this podcast, we'll explore meaningful ideas, honest conversations, and practical ways to grow into a better version of ourselves. Let's begin. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here for episode 4. Over the past 3 weeks, we've talked about growing 1% every day. We've talked about protecting your energy with the word no. We've talked about the revolutionary act of rest. But today, I want to zoom all the way out because tactics without direction are just noise. You can have the best morning routine in the world. You can budget to the penny. You can sleep 8 hours a night and say no with the confidence of a CEO. But if you don't know who you are becoming, none of it means anything. I want to tell you about a woman named Clara. Clara was 52 years old when her youngest child left for university. And for the first time in 23 years, she sat in a quiet house, in a quiet kitchen, with a cup of tea going cold in her hands, and realized she had absolutely no idea who she was anymore. She wasn't depressed. She wasn't ungrateful. She had a good life by every measurable standard. But she had spent so many years being someone's mother, someone's wife, someone's employee. And that question, who am I, felt like a foreign language. Psychologists have a name for this moment. They call it an identity vacuum. And it doesn't only happen at 52. It happens at 30 when the career you chased feels hollow. It happens at 40 when you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person looking back. It happens at 25 when you realize the life you're living was designed by someone else's expectations. Today, we're going to do something about that. There is a quiet revolution happening in the science of human behavior. And at the center of it is one radical idea. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Let that land for a moment. Most of us chase outcomes. We say, I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to save $50,000. I want to be a better parent. And we fail, not because we lack willpower, not because the goal was wrong, but because our identity, the story we tell ourselves about who we are, never changed. Here's the difference. Outcome-based thinking says, I want to run a marathon. Identity-based thinking says, I am a runner. Outcome-based thinking says, I want to get out of debt. Identity-based thinking says, I am someone who is financially responsible. Outcome-based thinking says, I want to be more patient with my kids. Identity-based thinking says, I am calm and present parent. Do you feel the difference? One is a destination, the other is a declaration. And declarations, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, shape every single decision we make. every habit, every response, every choice at every crossroads. Author and researcher Brené Brown spent decades studying human vulnerability and identity. She found that the people who live the most wholehearted lives are not the ones who have the most figured out. They are the ones who are the most honest about who they are right now and the most intentional about who they are choosing to become. Choosing, present tense, active voice. Identity is not something that happens to you. It is something you author. Every day, with every choice, with every habit, with every conversation, with every time you stay true to your values when it would have been easier not to. So here is the question I want you to carry into the rest of this episode. And honestly, into the rest of your week. Who am I becoming? And is that person someone I am proud of? Let's get into the real world, because this concept is beautiful in theory, but I want you to feel it where it actually lives. Let's start with parenting. Children are not listening to what we tell them to be. They are watching who we are. Every single day, your child is answering the question, who am I? By looking at you, by absorbing your patterns, your responses to stress, your relationship with money, your capacity for kindness when kindness is hard. You are their first and most powerful mirror. So I want to ask you, parent to parent, what is your child learning about identity from watching you? Are they learning that rest is earned or that rest is deserved? Are they learning that mistakes are shameful or that mistakes are information? Are they learning that emotions are dangerous or that emotions are human? When you do the hard work of becoming who you want to be, not just telling your children who to be, you give them the greatest inheritance a parent can offer. You give them a model, a living, breathing, imperfect, trying anyway model of what it looks like to grow. Your becoming is their permission to become. Let's talk about finance. Let me ask you something personal. What is the story you were told about money growing up? Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We're not the kind of people who have savings. Don't talk about money. It's not polite. Those stories absorbed before you were old enough to question them are running your financial life right now. Today, this minute. Not your income, not the economy, not your circumstances, your story. I've seen people on modest incomes build extraordinary financial lives. And I've seen people on six-figure salaries living paycheck to paycheck. The difference is almost never the numbers. It's the identity. One person says, I'm not good with money. And so they aren't. Another person says, I'm someone who is learning to build wealth. Slowly, intentionally, one decision at a time, and so they do. What would you change in your financial life if you genuinely believed in your bones that you were the kind of person who builds financial security? Not someday, now, today. Because that belief is available to you right now. No qualification required. Relationships. Relationships are the ultimate identity test because anyone can be kind when life is easy. Anyone can be generous when they have more than enough. Anyone can be patient on a good day. Your true identity, the person you are actually becoming, reveals itself in the hard moments. When you're misunderstood and you choose to seek clarity instead of retaliate. When you are hurt and you choose vulnerability over walls. When someone you love is struggling and you choose presence over advice. When a relationship becomes inconvenient and you choose commitment over comfort. These are not small moments. These are the moments that define you. And here is the extraordinary thing about identity and relationships. When you become clearer about who you are, your values, your non-negotiables, what you stand for, and what you will not accept, you stop attracting relationships that diminish you. Not because you become the better than anyone, but because you become more yourself. And people who are truly themselves attract people who are the right fit for that truth. Know who you are, protect who you are, and watch your relationships transform around the clarity. Last one we're going to talk about today is about leadership and growth. Here's something I want every person listening to hear. Whether you have a title or not, you are already a leader. If you are a parent, you lead. If you are a friend, you influence. If you show up to work and someone watches how you handle pressure, how you treat the people around you, how you respond when things go wrong, you are leading. Leadership is not a job title. It is an identity. And the leaders who change things in their families, their organizations, their communities are the ones who have done the deepest identity work, who have asked themselves the uncomfortable questions, who have faced the gap between who they are and who they want to be, and decided to close it. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. 27 years! And he walked out not bitter, but transformed. He said, I came out mature. I came out with a greater depth of feeling and understanding of human condition. He didn't just survive those years. He used them to answer with devastating clarity the question of who he was becoming. And then he led an entire nation out of its own darkness. You don't need 27 years in a prison cell to do this work. You need this moment and the honest willingness to look. Here is your challenge for this week, and I want you to take it seriously. I want you to finish these 3 sentences, write them down on paper, not in your phone, on actual paper. Because there is something about writing by hand that makes truth harder to ignore. Sentence number 1. The person I am becoming is... Sentence number 2. The habit or belief I need to release to become that person is... Sentence number 3. One small thing I will do differently this week that reflects who I am becoming is... 3 sentences, that's it. But those 3 sentences, answered honestly, are a map, a direction, a declaration. Remember Clara, the woman sitting alone in her quiet kitchen, asking who she was? She did this exercise. She sat with it for a week, and what came up surprised her. She wrote, "The person I am becoming is a woman who creates, not for anyone else, just because it makes me feel alive." She had not painted since she was 19. She bought a canvas that weekend. 3 years later, her work is in local gallery. Not because she became famous artist, but because she became herself again. That is what identity work does. It doesn't just change what you do. It changes who you are. And who you are, fully, honestly, courageously you, is the greatest gift you will ever give the world. Don't withhold that gift any longer. That's episode 4. And I want to say, if you've made it through all 4 episodes, you are not a casual listener. You are someone doing the real work, and I see you. If today's episode moves something in you, share it. Tag someone who is searching for themselves right now, because sometimes the most profound thing we can do for another person is say, you are not alone in the searching. Next week, we're diving into one of my favorite topics, the power of gratitude. Not the Instagram version, not the toxic positivity version, the raw, science-backed, quietly transformative kind that changes the actual chemistry of your brain. You are not going to want to miss it. Until then, keep growing, keep resting, keep saying no to what drains you, and above all, keep becoming. Thank you for being here with me on the Better Life Project. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and stay tuned for more conversations that inspire growth, purpose, and a better everyday life. Until next time, take care and keep moving forward.